Hello, okay, so this is Grotesque, the second book I've read this year by Natsuo Kirino, because the first one was so good. That was called Out, which I think I've done a review on already, and Out was incredible. Out was the book that made Natsuo Kirino, who I'd never heard of before, reading Out, one of my favourite writers. And all of my favourite writers that I've discovered recently, all the favourite fiction writers I've discovered recently, are female. Sylvia Plath wasn't that recent, but it was only a few years ago I read The Bell Jar, which blew me away, not just because of the story, but because of the language and the way it was told. I think if you're a really, really good writer, you can write about paint drying and make it interesting. Sylvia Plath could probably have done that. She never wrote about paint drying, as far as I know. But Natsuo Kirino, the first book of hers I read, Out, crime novel, which was unlike any other crime novel I've ever read, unlike any other book almost I've ever read, in that you get so drawn into each character that regardless of how crazy what they're doing is, it makes sense. And there's a scene, well, there's more than one disturbing scene in Out. There's a scene, for example, where they're chopping up a body of an ex-colleague to dispose of, and you just think, yeah, it makes sense, I could do that in that situation. That's how good the writing is. There's a famous quote, lots of people have said it, I don't know what the famous quote is, that everything anybody ever does, you could do as well, because the person who did it was human and you're the same species. And that gets into psychology and philosophy and everything. Grotesque is very different to Out, which is nice as well, because it shows that Kirino is not just a one-trick pony. There are lots of writers who dole out the same book again and again and again and again. I guess it's like soap operas, people just watch it, it's their fix. After I'd read Out, I saw this online and I thought, another book by her, I'll get it, she's fantastic. But then when I read the back of it, I wasn't sure if I could stomach it. I'll read you the back. Two prostitutes were murdered in Tokyo. 20 years previously, both women were educated at the same elite school for young ladies and had seemingly promising futures ahead of them. But in a world of dark desire and vicious ambition for both women, prostitution meant power. Grotesque is a masterful and haunting thriller, a chilling exploration of women's secret lives in modern-day Japan. This is the bit that made me wonder if I could read this. Suicide, paedophilia, incest and murder combined to form a story that will leave you questioning your own morality. That was by Dazed and Confused. Delved so deep beyond its own shock horror premise that much contemporary crime fiction appears cheap and exploitative by comparison. An utterly absorbing novel. I'll agree with that. That was by Metro. This is only Kirino's second translated novel, but it already seems obvious that she may be the best crime writer to emerge from Japan in years. She's really, really good. And the characters now are just fantastic. The story is told from a lot of different people's perspective, one after the other, through the form of letters and journals, and then the main narrator. And as you go through, the person or the people who you thought were good end up to be the people who you think, this is the most disturbed, messed up character there is, the nastiest person in the story, even though they're not necessarily the murderer or anything. But every time you hear it from a different perspective, it just draws you in deeper. It's absolutely brilliant. And once again, whatever the character does, you think, yeah, I can imagine myself being in that situation and doing that. It's told that well. There's such a high level of empathy she develops. She's just really, really good. And there's the idea that fact is stranger than fiction. And this is obviously fiction, but it's so messed up, but so believable. And it kind of hovers, it's so believable you think, okay, this could happen because the world is so messed up, fact is stranger than fiction. And it's better than most fiction, simple as that. Highly recommended. Anyway, it's cold, I just got in, so I'm going to cut this review short now. Grotesque by Natsuo Kirino, absolutely brilliant, 10 out of 10, and there are other stories by her, but they've not been translated yet. Let me read you a bit about her. Natsuo Kirino, born in 1951, quickly established a reputation in Japan as one of a rare breed of crime writers whose work goes well beyond the conventional crime novel. This fact has been demonstrated by her winning not only Japan's top mystery award for Out, but one of its major literary awards, the Naoki Prize for Soft Cheeks. Several of her books have also been turned into films. Grotesque is the second of her books to appear in English. Check it out, I think you'll enjoy it.